up, y'all? We're back here with the Eron podcast. I got my special guest here, Terone Johnson. What's good, man?
What's going on? Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Living, trying to get through this corona.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, you've had a decorated, high school and college career. Can you just talk about just how you grew up, playing in the parks, playing everywhere, growing up in Indianapolis? Just talk about how you grew the love of the game of basketball.
I think it all started, from a young age, honestly. Just like your dad, my dad was pretty good as well. So, everybody around the city, they expect a little more out of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just getting to see them going to their games and stuff like that, getting to see them play, just being on the sideline, wanting to always be, dribbling the ball and stuff like that. And then, as you know, my pops went away. So it was kind of like I was by myself a little bit because I was the oldest brother. But my cousin, Hoodie, he used to be really good as well. So I used to kind of, go play with them and try to get beat up on by them. And then I would go back down and play with my age group, and it would be a lot easier. But, man, all over the city, I live right near the municipal gardens, and that's where I used to go down at. Your brothers, both of your brothers played there as well.
I played there too a little bit.
Yeah, you played there too. Yeah, you played there too.
It wasn't the same, but it wasn't the same as when y'all played. But we still played there.
Down. In that little gym upstairs, man. But,
I got to play there one year, the little gym.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, so just going from that, going through those little battles, and then we had the AAU squad where me and Evan played together and stuff. So, man, just that's where the love started, for the game. And I feel like I just started to get a little bit more serious once I kind of got like in middle school, just seeing that I could actually be like I was always kind of good for my age group. But once I started really playing against, top talent, across the country and stuff like that, it made me just want to get better, man. And then from there, went up to North Central, and history was made.
So, talk about your North Central career, because I think a lot of people, want to know about that. So what was it like when you first walked in? You have, a ton of guys that are there. Talk to me about that first experience of, your freshman year and you just walking in, because obviously a lot of people knew who you were. But, just getting into North Central, that's a whole different monster.
8th grade, coming out of Northview. So I was only in Washington Township for 1 year, right? So prior to that, because I went to Northview for my 8th grade year, I was originally supposed to go to Pike. But we ended up moving, me and my mom, we ended up moving. And so first day coming out of 8th grade, first time going over to North Central, I'm nobody again. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Big dog Eric Gordon in the building. So so it was kind of going into that open gym though. I seen EJ play before and stuff, but I just kind of looked at it like, okay, I got to go at him. You know what I mean? Like I got to get at him. So I would try to guard him. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I just think it was giving me, honestly, playing against your brother was giving me a good look at what I was as a player already. You know what I mean? And I just would see him in open gyms like dominating, like, you know what I mean? Like not like out there just playing around, messing around, like Coach Mitchell wasn't going for that. So he would dominate open gyms and stuff like that. And then just getting into practice, I started getting better and better. I had an ACL tear that year before I went to high school. So, I still had that big old knee brace on. I was still slow and stuff like that. So I was on the JV squad, but we used to play against them all the time. I got a story for you. One time I got to going off though in practice, like on the squad. Coach Mitchell like, come over here. You know what I mean? He like, flip your jersey, come over here. So I go on the second team varsity, right? And they playing against each other. And EJ guarded me, and I hit it, bro. It wasn't like I did anything or nothing, bro. I got it. I shot that boy. I made it. Like he just wasn't, he didn't close out.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Are you gonna let this freshman come over here and do this to you? You know what I mean? And EJ like, oh, okay, bro. I didn't touch the ball, maybe, but one time the rest of the practice, bro, he denied me. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's how EJ is, man.
Exactly. So he started hawking me. So that's when I was like, okay, I got to get better, most definitely. But I knew coming in that next year that I would get more playing time, bro, for sure. Which with me and Evan was kind of taking over the leadership of the team.
Yeah, so talk about that. So talk about, when EJ leaves, obviously Otto Hodzik and all them dudes leave. Now, obviously my other brother, Evan, he was there when you were there, you guys were kind of like a tandem and, talk about that experience.
Man, it was fun. So, like you said, once they left, North Central, man, I was still kind of hot from the year before when we had lost in state because I felt like I should address the state game and play.
Yeah.
Coach Mitchell didn't dress me. So I was kind of hot from that. But he told me, next year, like, you and Evan, y'all going to have a good chance to lead this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that summer, bro, like me and Evan used to go. Evan used to have that old Range Rover.
Yeah.
He got that. But we used to hop in that joint, and go in the mornings and shoot before, everybody get there.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then it came to a point, man, where like, bro, we was in open gym, and Coach Mitchell was like, I don't want any guards to make it past half court. Like, I need y'all to be trying to take the ball from them before they even get past half court, bro. And me and Evan would be dogs, you know what I mean, in open. That's what we learned to do. We didn't have, we had a lot of good players. Like I said, man, we could have had a run for state every year that I was at Nurse. You know what I mean? So that year, we didn't start clicking until we started the press. So the press started that year. North Central really pressed until that year. You get what I'm saying? So that's when we started the whole Red Ball Express thing. Because he had to kind of switch it up to match our games. It wasn't like, when he had EJ and them and everything was running through EJ. And, it wasn't like that. So what ended up happening was, man, we got into a good groove. We got on a nice winning streak. Me and Evan was kind of a nice tandem. We had Damon Ellison. He was holding things down as well. We had everybody, man.
Chris was there. He was a senior, right?
Chris
James
Toller,
and Chris, yep.
They were seniors that year, and we had a nice run. We ended up losing to Gordon Hayward. We won sectionals. We ended up losing to Gordon Hayward and them, who we beat the week before, and they ended up winning state. So it was just kind of like, it was a nice little run. But now I was hungry to get going, but Evan ended up leaving that year and going to
Hargrave prep school.
Yeah, exactly. So. It was just me in the backcourt now, you know what I mean? And then
you had some young guys with you, though, that were pretty solid.
I had some young guys go ahead and come in. So, moving on to that, we started to really, really get a groove, bro.
Yeah. So talk about, your junior year, you got, all your young guys, you got your little brother coming in, what was that like?
It was tough because they were some knuckleheads, you know what I mean? Like, him and Tyler, man, they was really good, but they didn't want to listen to them. So it was kind of like a back and forth, battle with them. And then obviously we had Devontae, who was kind of like the more mature kid around their age. Like he almost was like he was just made for the moment. You know what I mean? Like he already had his head set. He really wasn't childish. You know what I mean? Like he was ready to go. So he came in and played immediately. They all played immediately. But Devontae came in and like performed immediately, you know what I mean, from his first game. So that year we did, bro, really good. We ended up being number one in the state for a good portion of that year. But what ended up happening was one of our players got kicked off the team. That was Troy. He got kicked off the team. He was kind of like a glue guy on our team. You know what I mean? So had a drop, during that time, but then we ended up losing in sectionals that year to Lawrence North. They had a pretty stacked team that year. They was, their length is what really got us. They killed us and stuff like that. But we had beat them twice earlier in the year, and it's always hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So they got us on that last ledge, but then just kind of moving into my senior year, finishing up high school. I mean, we had Ronnie at the point, we had me at the 2, we had Devontae, we had Patrick Ingram, and we had Darius Latham. We had Trip McFall off the bench, or Trip and Patrick would start kind of, on and off.
We also had Diedrich.
We had Diedrich. I'm
Tim, little
tripping. We
Tim.
had Diedrich. We had Tim, bro. We had a
y'all were
nice
deep.
squad.
Yeah, y'all were deep. Y'all had
We was
Blewett.
deep. We had Blewett coming off the
Yeah.
bench. We were super deep that year. And I want to say we lost either 2 or 3 games that year, you know, just on some – I know 2 of them was last-second shots.
Yeah.
And then I can't – third one that I can never remember the third one that we lost. But yeah, I know we lost to East Chicago in the Christmas tournament. And I know we lost to St. Rose one time. We was all sick and we ended up getting down real early, but then coming back, we lost on the buzzer beater there. But man, that year was just so fun. Like that's probably that year and my junior year is probably like the best team that I've ever, you know, been a part of, just because of the camaraderie. You know, on top of it, my senior year, it was like we had that camaraderie, but we always had that like killer mentality. Like as soon as we got on the court, we was talking crazy to people. You know what I mean? Like we like, man, we gotta go ahead and get y'all out of here early so we can go sit down. You know what I mean? Like we was on some stuff like that. And I feel like everybody played their part well. You know what I mean? From 1 to 14, you know, 1 to 12, whatever, you know, was on the bench. So that was a fun time. You know, we obviously went all the way down to state, knocked that out, won it. And that was one of my goals, you know, since I was a kid, just watching, you know, the guys at Pike when I was, you know, I used to go to a lot of Pike games.
Yeah.
So just being able to watch that and see, I always wanted to win that state title, bro. And that was one of my goals, and I knocked it out that night.
So talk about, you know, losing a really, really, really close race for Mr. Basketball. Someone that averaged, you know, well over 20 points and winning state their senior year. I mean, what more can you ask? You know, talk about coming a really close second to Deshaun Thomas.
Exactly. Yeah, it was, you know, I was in the race for it, bro, but it was never really a thing for me. Like in the back of my head, I really didn't think it was that deep. I knew I was in the race for it, but it never was on my mind. But like I was so tied up, and like I had already committed, you know, to Purdue, right? I had committed to them after my sophomore year, so you know, and one reason why I was ready to get that out the way is so I could focus on you know, winning the state championship. So my senior year, it wasn't really much on my mind. I'm like, I know if I win a state championship, that ups my chances, and I most definitely should win it if we win the championship. But you know, he I think he had 2 or 3 state championships himself in a row.
But so, that wasn't at the 4A level.
It wasn't that's where I was going with it. It wasn't at the 4A level. We would have won shit. The teams that I played on, we would have won probably 4. In that level. But at the same time, you know, you got to get a man his props. He averaged a lot of points. He did a lot of things. It was always a, you know, back and forth battle, but I thought that I should have came out with it just off of the talent that I played against, the conference that I played in, what I was able to do in that time. But you know, when we played in Indiana All-Stars and stuff like that, it was solid. We went up against each other. You know, we was boys, and I think I won the MVP. Whole All-Star game stuff and all that stuff. So it was solid, man. It wasn't that huge to me, but I always still think back now, like I should have got that. I should have been wearing that number 1 jersey.
Yeah. I think a lot of people thought that. So talk about, you know, getting recruited and going to Purdue.
So my recruitment started real early because I came off my freshman year at North Central, as I was talking, and I really didn't play varsity though, so I didn't get much shine. But when I went to when we got into travel play, I was playing for I think Indiana Elite Illinois at the time. Coach Green was coaching me, right?
Yeah.
And
Ed was on that team too, right? Because you played up.
Actually, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I did. I played up. Yeah, you're right. So I ended up playing up with Evan them, and we was killing that summer. Like,
I were.
We wanted to play together so that we could kind of take that back to North Central and have that, you know, camaraderie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And chemistry. So once we got out of once we you know hit the road on that, you know, a lot of colleges start saying, you know, who is this dude? Who is this guy? So by the end of that summer, I had offers by. I had a lot of people looking at me. I had a lot of letters. I had a lot of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like visits like that, like unofficial visits. And then by the end of that summer, I want to say by the end of that summer, I had already no. We went into my sophomore year, and then by the end of my sophomore year, I had averaged like 19, 20 for North Central. I can't remember what it was. And that's when it was like, okay, like this dude can do something. So I got recruited very highly at that point. I was everywhere in the country going on unofficial visits and stuff like that. I ended up going with Purdue. I had a lot of people down there that I actually knew. And then at the time, you know, we was you know, one of the top teams in the nation. So I was like, there's no reason in not going there. I thought it was a nice choice for me. It was a real family feeling, you know, as far as things go. But yeah, that's kind of how the recruitment process went. I didn't have much, you know, like I always tell people, I didn't have much guidance in the recruiting process. And I think that's something huge for like the newer guys. Like I did have Coach Green, but I didn't have anyone like in my family that was kind of like, I had Coach Green and Coach Mitchell, right? But I didn't have really anyone in my family that was kind of guiding me and kind of, you know, man, I think your game fits in, you know, better over here with these guys or whatever. I really didn't know. So I was just kind of going off what felt more comfortable to me, you know, and I think sometimes, you know, kids, you know, they put themselves in a situation where they transferring, you know, 2 or 3 times. And that's not me. But by nature, I'm not the type of guy that just, you know, jump ship. So once I'm somewhere, I'm definitely going to most definitely make it work out. But at the same time, I feel like I just didn't have a lot of guidance. And I think that's something that's huge for, you know, the kids that's growing up now is, you know, take that guidance from somebody that really know what they're doing in you know, reach out to them in the area. You know, it's always some guys like your dad, you know what I mean? Like I could have easily reached out. He would have picked me up, whatever. You know what I mean? Took me on a ride, talked to me about it, but just not being scared to reach out to people like that, that know what they're talking about, know what they're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, talk about, you know, playing with, you know, guys like Robbie Hummel, Etwan Moore, Juwan Johnson as a freshman. You know, take me through your days at Purdue.
Man, so again, turn around, top guys in the state, you know, doing my thing. I get to do nothing again. So it's that cycle, you know. Obviously, I had a lot of hype coming in because I was top. I want to say top 50 in the nation or something like that, you know. So I had a nice little like ranking and stuff like that. So people was looking at me, it really came down to, you know, Coach Painter just keeps it real, bro. Like he like, you know, you beat a guy to their spot, you get the spot. You don't, you don't. It ain't no favorites. You know what I mean? So going in, Robbie was coming back from an ACL tear. To start out that year, we was projected number 1 in the nation to start out the year. So we get there, we go through conditioning, we make it all through that stuff, and you know, that's hard coming into college. You're always gonna be new, whatever it is. You know, you're gonna be not scared, but kind of nervous. You know, jittery about what's you know what's to come. But I knew that summer in open gym, I was killing boys, so I'm like, I'm most definitely can spot. So I got in there. First practice of the year, Robbie comes out and tears his ACL again. First practice. So now it's like it's a whole different setup of how our team is going to look, right? So because it was definitely going to be them 3 guys, Robbie, Etwan, and JJ. They was about to tear it apart. You know what I mean? And then it was kind of like the other players, you know, you get in where you fit in, you know, so just utility players and knockout stuff. You know, my role was, you know, make some plays here and there, knock some shots down, but I most likely wasn't gonna get a lot of shots. You know what I mean? But that changed when Robbie got hurt, and we ended up being like number 4 in the nation starting out or something like that. They dropped us immediately. But I didn't start the first like 3 or 4 games of the season, and then after that, I ended up starting the rest of the season. It was a cool season. I got a lot to learn, but Etwan and JJ, they murdered it that season. You know, we was top 10 the entire year. We really should have won the Big Ten that year. We lost a game, like the last game that would have put us over the top at Iowa. I don't know how we lost it, But we ended up losing that game, man, and then we went we didn't even get to the Sweet 16 that year. We got beat by VCU that year where they did that silly run to the Final Four. I don't know how they beat us, but they got us. They was running. Their style was just different, man. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But I got to learn a lot from those dudes, and then it was cool going into my sophomore year where I actually got hurt that summer. Going into my sophomore year, so I was doing a lot of rehab. I tore my meniscus, so when I got back to campus, I really wasn't even fully ready to go. Once everything started. But I had a solid sophomore year, man. I had a really solid sophomore year.
Yeah.
That Robbie came back, so I got to play with Robbie again, and we had another win at the tournament. We really should have went even deeper in the tournament that year.
So talk about your junior year now when your little brother comes in once again. Talk about playing with him. Your last 2 years and what that experience was like.
Right. So yeah, at this time, I had a pretty good sophomore year. I had a pretty good tournament appearance, you know what I mean, stuff like that. So killed in the tournament. And right when we get kicked out, we go back home to check out Ronnie and them, Devontae and them. They playing in the sectionals or regionals, one or the other. And they playing against Gary and them. They lose on the last second shot.
You were at that game?
Yeah, me and John had drove all the way back home to watch that game, bro. And when he put that shot up, because we was up high, because we got there late, so we up high, Noblesville on like the top floor, bro. As soon as he shot it, I said, "That's going in." I could tell, bro. You know how you somebody you like that's going in. Like I think it's on point. That boy said, "Dude." Went in. I said, "Oh man!" But anyways, the year before that, they had beat Hamilton Southeastern, and my coach is like, Ronnie went crazy because Devontae was out. They got in a brawl against Lawrence North, and Devontae ended up getting suspended the next game. And so Ronnie they was playing Hamilton Southeastern, and Ronnie went nuts on them. Like, I think he had like 30 and like 8. You know what I mean? Like that's my coaches. After the game, I'm leaving the game. They calling me like, yo, what's up with Ronnie? Like, what's he looking at? At the time he had only had, I think, an offer from Illinois. Butler. So he wasn't super highly recruited, but now like Purdue was on me to like, hey, you got to get your brother to come on down here. Like we got to make this happen. You know what I mean? So we ended up talking, and he was like, man, I'm down. So he ended up coming down there, playing with us. That was, man. I know it was a dream from my mom, right? Seeing us get high school together was one of her dreams, but then to be able to see us playing college together, that was huge. And
in the Big
at
Ten.
that time, in the Big Ten, you know what I mean? So at that time, my dad came home too, so he got to see us play together and stuff like that. We did all right that year. We should have did a little better, to be honest. But it was a lot of young dudes, bro. So I want to say, like, I was the captain that year, my junior year. It was more like, man, I want to say our senior class was like DJ Bird. I can't remember right now, right off the top of my head, but just like we was really trying to get those young dudes to understand the system. It was totally different from my sophomore. My junior and senior year was just like all teaching, bro. Like I'm just trying to teach them the system, to recognize the system. So, I did well my junior year though. I was I want to say second or third team all Big Ten. It wasn't first, so I really didn't care. But but I was second or third team, I think, all Big Ten that year. I averaged like 14 or something like that. So I did pretty well, but we didn't win, so it really didn't mean – I'm about winning, so it really didn't mean much to me. My senior year was it was actually worse my senior year. It was all young guys. We had Basil come in there. I'm trying to teach all these young dudes, man, they just wasn't getting it. They wasn't gelling the way it was my freshman and sophomore year. And I just think we brought in a lot of players that just wasn't like system guys. And that's what that program is. It's all about somebody that can play, within the system. So
So, talk about what you decided to do. Obviously, you could have made an NBA push. Talked about opting not to play after.
Right. So after I left Purdue, I ended up going and working out in Philly. I got an agent. I went and worked out in Philly for about 3 months. I worked out with the Pistons one time. I didn't get picked up. I got cut. And then I worked out at the Boston facility one time for them, but it really wasn't like anything. And then that's kind of when I was like, they was like, my agent was like, we can take a push for the D League or we can take a push for overseas. So that's when I ended up going overseas. So I ended up playing in Greece my first year out, and I actually did pretty well, man. I did really well. And in the middle of the season, actually, this is kind of like the latter end of the season, right before the playoffs were starting. I was about to have my kid. And it was just one thing where like I had to be there. Like I always thought that in my mind, like when my firstborn is born, like really all my kids, when they born, I gotta be in that operator. Like I gotta be in that room. You know what I mean? Like so that was one big thing for me. And they was really kind of like hinting that they didn't want me to go because the playoffs was about to start and all this stuff. But like I wouldn't have missed any games or anything, but I would have missed like 1 or 2 practices, right?
Yeah.
Because of that turnaround, it's like a 14-hour flight out here to California. So, my wife here in California. So they let me go back. And then when I went back, they like traded me off to another team out there. Yeah. And so they was actually kind of salty about it, right? And then that team released me because they didn't have any rights to me at first anyhow. So after that, I was just kind of at the crib. I was still getting paid actually, but I was at the crib. But then I, went back. We moved back to Indianapolis. I started working out again. And then I just kind of got in the mood where I just was like, man, I don't know if I want to go back. You know what I mean? My wife ended up going to school and stuff like that. She was in nursing school and stuff. So, I was out here helping her out, just being with our kid and stuff while she's doing like her schooling and stuff like that. So it got to a certain point, man, where the contracts was just so low that I just was like, is this worth it? You know what I mean? And I was like, I think I just rather, move forward with, going and doing my own thing, getting my own business and doing what I'm doing now. So, man, I think that was a big, huge thing. It was hard. It was very hard. You've been playing your whole life and, there's certain, I always tell people, they always say have a plan B, but what's your plan B, right? Because you go to college, what are you studying in college? Are you specializing in something? Are you looking at opening up a certain business? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So for me, it was never that. Like, I was never looking at nothing else. I didn't have no one really telling me like, hey, bro, like, start looking into this. Like, start learning real estate or start learning, stocks or whatever, you know what I mean? But I actually started studying some stuff when I was in Greece because I was just so bored over there by myself. But yeah, that was a hard transition, bro. I will say that. And it's a hard time, feeling wise, you might go through a little bit of depression kind of just because it's like, dang, like, are you serious? Like, I got to give up what I always, thought I would continue to do my whole life. But, I definitely, made a cool turnaround and, moved out here with my wife and my kid. And, man, it's been solid out here in LA, bro.
Yeah, for sure. So, to finish off the podcast, some of your favorite basketball memory.
Favorite basketball memory, man. Memory. Let me see.
All right,
here.
well, give me two.
Okay. Let me think here, bro. I'm gonna give you one funny one, and then I'm gonna give you just like my favorite, like, okay, like the best I've ever felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The obviously best I've ever felt one is when we won state.
Yeah.
We was just so, bro. I think if you go back and watch that video, we look like little kids just.
Yeah, y'all dudes was looking so young. I saw that on Facebook the other day. I'm like, dude, y'all dudes look like babies. Everybody did.
Bro, we was just jumping up. I'm like, dang, we look like little kids just jumping up for joy. You know what I mean? But we was really, really excited, bro, about winning state, bro. We really had a goal to win it that year. We did it. But outside of that, man, I think one of the funniest moments, man, and Evan can attest to this, man, because we was, man, cracking up, bro. Man, check this. So,
you know, this.
You remember Garrett, right?
Yeah.
So one day in practice, I don't know if Evan told you this before, but one day in practice, we was doing, I forget what that drill, Pacer. You remember the drill,
Yeah, the Pacer drill, yep.
Pacer drill, right? So, you know, when one team get off, it's the next team, the second team jump on. So we get off, we ran, we good. They about to jump on, bro. And I kid you not, bro, like Garrick is on the sideline. Coach Mitchell's sitting in his chair on the sideline. Garrick go right by him, bro, lift his leg up, just burn. Bro, just farting in Coach Mitchell's face. So check this, bro. I looked at Coach Mitchell and he's like, everybody over here. He's like, this son of a bee then just farted in my face. Bro, I kid you not, me and Evan cannot stop laughing. He made us, bro, he was talking about how Coach Mitchell was talking about how his brother would have beat the piss out of, you know, Garrick if he was still alive and all this, bro. Me and Evan are in the back trying so hard not to laugh, but like I'm crying, bro. Like I'm trying so hard not to laugh that I'm crying. And he just making us run, bro. Like after that, he just got us on the line. We just running. We running 16 the rest of practice. And me and Evan are just laughing the entire time. Like, we're running our sprints, but we are like actually laughing, bro. He like, and you two, you know, supposed to be leaders.
Yeah.
You know, y'all. I'm like, I can't help it. I can't believe he did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like my funniest memory, you know.
Also,
like,
tell everyone the full ride story.
Oh man.
Evan talks about that all the time. It's the funniest thing.
Man, so we got into it with I think it was some dudes from Mean Streets, Chicago. I think it was. And we was playing in I forget where we was playing at, but we got into a heated, you know, back and forth. Dudes started talking crazy, so you already know we with that. So we started talking crazy back. You know what I mean? So then he got to talking. You know, we hadn't signed our commitments or nowhere yet, right?
Yeah.
He just started saying to us. He stopped saying anything. He just started saying, "Full ride, Villanova. Full ride, full ride, Villanova." Then we like, what? We had that to say back really, but we just, bro, it was just so funny how he was saying it. I go to the free throw line, bro. We laughing so much, bro. I airball my free throws. You know what I mean? Like it was just so funny. He kept saying it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was a funny story, bro. Most definitely.
But obviously everyone who's probably gonna watch the podcast, probably a lot of, you know, Purdue North Central fans. Obviously, Paul Logan passed away a couple of days ago. So, you know, you got anything to say about that?
Definitely, bro. You know, my heart goes out, you know, to the Logan family. You know, Kathy and just seeing, you know, Mike and all of them just growing up. You know, they was always, Mike was at our practices, you know, Kathy, you know, and Mr. Logan, man, they was always around. Like I always felt like they was in the background. You know what I mean? Like games, practices, summer tournaments, like, you know, so we always was around them, like my entire family, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you get into North Central, it's more like a family environment.
Mm-hmm.
So man, you know, just he was always around us. I know he was a great guy. So my heart goes out to to their family, and I just want to send my condolences. You know, if there's anything that I can never do, but man, yeah, he was a great guy, and I think they should most definitely. I put in my vote, definitely put in my vote for them to name the football stadium after him.
For sure. So can you tell everyone your Twitter handle, your Instagram handle, and your Facebook?
My Facebook is just my name, Terone Johnson, obviously. Instagram is legacy_T. So legacy_TEE. I literally just created one 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what I'm doing on there. I feel old, but I'm gonna get it cracking on there. But yeah, I finally signed up for Instagram, so that's my Instagram handle. And to be honest, I don't even remember my Twitter handle right now.
This dude's the old dude.
I am, bro. I am. I got to get it together. But yeah, I'm gonna start posting more stuff, on the real estate side of stuff. My business and stuff like that, and what I got going on there. So yeah, go follow me, holler at me, reach out to me. Anybody, any youngsters that's going through the recruiting process, or anybody that got a question, definitely reach out to me. I'll get right back with you.
For sure. But thank you for your time, man. I was so happy to have you on the podcast today.
Definitely, bro. I appreciate you, sharing your platform with me. And
sure.
just, man, continue to build this. I think it's something that's going to be nice for time to come, and just keep on building on it. It's a nice space, but I appreciate you giving me, your platform.
For sure. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right.
Peace.